So behind me right here is the brand new Engwe Y600. I've reviewed scooters from Engwe in the past, and this is one of their newer models. So first, what we need to do is a first ride test, which is a speed test, a brake test, see what the suspension is like as well. So let's do that first. Okay, so hill test on the Engwe Y600. We are on gear 3. Let's go. Here we go. Front suspension doing an okay job. It's getting me up there. Stem is holding up well because it's a bit rough here. No wind coming towards me, and yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. I think if you were on a really steep hill, it would struggle a bit. The motor on this, from the specs on the actual website, is 830 watts peak. So we have about a 500 watt motor basically. It has standard mechanical disc braking. Of course, you don't have a lot of torque because you only have one motor that's lower on the spec. But I think top speed, we'll have a look now in a minute. But the braking ability, we'll also have a check in a second. I think this is more of a seated electric scooter, because the deck is a bit short. Now, the good thing is though, if you're doing a stand like me, I actually have the handlebar at full length, full height. I'm 5'8", so they actually do a really good job. So let's do a speed test here. And let's see, okay, let's go full throttle. Okay, now we have some wind. Where are we going? 36, 37. 38, 39, oh. So with a good bit of wind, we're getting 39 kilometers an hour, which is more than acceptable. The tire pressure is as well at 50 psi. Handling is actually quite good from those hybrid tires that are 10" by 3 inches in width. And suspension, rear suspension is firm. It's probably the cheapest suspension you can get, but to be honest, for the price of this scooter, you can't really complain. But the front suspension is much improved upon. It's similar to the M4 Pro, but it does have better suspension. And now there's a truck in my way, so let's go off. Oh, that's not too bad, going off the path. Let's do a brake test. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Of course, mechanical brakes, they're okay enough for going like 40 kilometers an hour. I'd say without wind, you'd probably get like 42, 43 kilometers an hour top speed. But it's very nimble. This is a brilliant commuter scooter because the deck is low to the ground. You have a seat if you want. Not a lot of noise coming from it. Of course, it's brand new. Over time though, you will, have to tighten a few things, but that goes without saying on every electric scooter. So there's no wind here. We'll do one more speed test. Keep in mind, I actually didn't charge this and we're only at like 50 volts when we're idle. So yeah. Okay, we're actually getting much better because there's no wind coming towards me. So we're actually getting 42 kilometers per hour. More than acceptable. Let's test the suspension. Brake does good. Okay, bit of bottoming out there. Bit bumpy here. Let me just test here as well. Yeah, this suspension's actually not too bad. But of course, you can't take this off-road. There ain't no way you'd be able to take this off-road. But I like it because it's so light. Instead of a scooter that weighs, like I'm really tall here, I need to crouch down. Oh yeah, that's why you need a helmet. But I have scooters that are like over 40 kilos in weight. They're really good, but the problem is, of course, they're not exactly nimble for around the city, So with something like this, I think you would be fairly happy with it. Of course, you have indicators on this The front lights are very good as well. They're 4 LED lights, which are quite popular, which are actually one of my favorite lights to actually have. So no complaints at all from the actual ride of the electric scooter. Not crazy torque, but it definitely will get you there. Okay, you might be saying, hang on, this looks very familiar to like the Kirin M4 Pro, and yes, you would actually be correct, but there is a few differences with the Engwe brands. Now Engwe have improved actually a few things on this. The frame is similar, I'll give you that. The height adjustment is actually quite similar, but let me give you a closer look up at the few things they actually have improved upon. Okay, so first of all, you of course have the collapsible handlebars. For space saving, these are actually really good. So you actually just loosen these here, and then they collapse down like this. So it's very portable, particularly if you're in a tight space, so they're really good. The only fault I found with these in the past is it can't come loose as you are actually riding. So a tip here is to actually just get some plumber's tape and wrap it around the treads, and they actually shouldn't come loose. So that's just a quick tip that will actually solve that issue. So you have the usual horn here. Good. You have your left, right indicators to actually make a noise. You have your light switch here. Lights are really good. You have the obviously the indicators, the front LED light, the rear LED light. You have the standard key display that displays the voltage, what you have remaining. This is a 48 volt, 18 ampere hour battery with a range of up to 70 kilometers. Of course, the faster you go, the faster the battery drains. You have up here a standard TF100 display. You can customize the P settings on this, so I did do a full video on these on the Kirin M4 Pro, which have the same settings as the Engwe. If you want to customize it, knock off zero start and that type of thing, play around with it, but the stock setup is actually quite decent. You have actually these grips here. They're not too bad. Of course, they're not the best of quality, but you know, they're better than nothing, and they are a bit soft here, which is good. Some I found are really hard, that can get really painful kind of on this part of your hand over time, but they actually do quite a good job. Standard mechanical disc brakes you have front and rear, just here, and then of course at the front as well. They do an okay job at stopping. No real complaints for a scooter of this spec. You also, if you want, you can pop the seat on the scooter if you need to. It's very easy to do. I prefer actually standing on this type of scooter, so you have this kind of grip here where you can actually rest your foot as well. Deck size is not too bad. I think if you have size 10 or 11 feet, you will struggle to stay comfortable after a while. You have your backlight there. Suspension wise, you have a standard spring suspension. This is probably one of the cheaper styles you can get. You have a spring inside here, but of course there's not a lot of travel. They are quite firm. To be honest, don't really serve a purpose at all on this type of scooter. Of course, these are your indicators here. Kickstand is actually nice and sturdy and holds the scooter up fine. And you have, of course, if you compare this to the M4 Pro, the M4 Pro suspension was absolutely terrible and it made so much noise. So this is just kind of like a standard shock suspension, and it actually does quite a decent job, much better than the M4 Pro. Again, you cannot take this off-road because you don't have a lot of travel there, and it will just be banging up and down rapidly. So of course, for that reason, I wouldn't be expecting much from that type of shock. M4 Pro was plagued with punctures. It did have similar tires, but on this one they are much better quality. They also have, as you can see, a side tread on the left and right, whereas on the M4 Pro they didn't have that type of grip, and trust me, that makes a huge difference. And these are a harder tire, because on the M4 Pro they are very soft, and I got puncture after puncture on that scooter. So for that reason, I'm very happy to see that they have actually done a better job with the tires. Of course, you do have those 4 LED lights at the very front of the scooter, which actually gives a really good lighting, to be honest. And of course, you have an adjustable stem. Portability is fine. It's not too heavy. It's probably one of the lighter scooters I've had on the channel, so it's very easy for taking it up a few flights of stairs. When it comes to folding the scooter, I'll show you. So some people have difficulty folding actually this frame of scooter, and it's because they don't know how to do it correctly. So let me just show you. Of course, put up your kickstand. You have a pin, which is just here. You pull back the pin so it's not in the way. Easiest thing to do in this situation is Full brakes, hold down your left brake, hold down your right brake, and you have, of course, a catch here. So that's the one you push down with your foot. But what you do is, with your brakes held, you push this down forward a bit, and then it folds like that, and it actually catches automatically. And of course, if you wanted, you could fold your handlebars as well. So again, piece of cake. And when it comes to, of course, putting it back up, you just press your catch. Again, hold your brakes one more time, foot on the deck, and then give it a small bit of force until you hear the click. Like that. Locking pin goes in, kickstand goes down, and that's it. So here's a closer look at the pin. You pull that out, and then you put your foot down, and then make sure after you put the scooter back up, you put the pin back in, so that doesn't fall down as you are riding. It's just a safety feature, but it's needed. I guess portability, fantastic. Tires are decent, brakes are okay, stem is okay. I would not be going rough with this type of stem. It's not an off-road scooter, it's not a hill climber. This is just going from A to B, generally doing distances between maybe 15-20 kilometers a day, give or take, should be kind of the sweet spot for this style of scooter. Suspension is okay at best. Again, you can't go crazy jumping off curbs, doing stuff like that, because you will damage the scooter very, very fast. And when it comes to safety on the Y600 model, again, brakes, indicators, lights, very visible at night time, so no problem from a safety standpoint. So let's talk about value for a second. The price of this is actually right, to be honest. It's not too expensive. It's quite a cheap scooter. You're getting decent speeds of up to around 40-45 km/h, give or take, somewhere around there. Range of up to 70 kilometers. Of course, if you are going really, really fast, I've done a range test on my M4 Pro, which is a slightly smaller battery, and going full throttle, I got up to 30 kilometers that day, and it was around -5, -4 degrees that day, if I'm not mistaken. So I actually got good range, so I expect similar range from this, going fast as possible, of around 30 kilometer distance. To be honest, that's more than acceptable enough. You have the portability feature there, collapsible handlebars, very easy to fold, light as a feather. You also have the seat option there. I think it's priced exactly right. And who is this for? It's pretty much for anybody looking to get into electric scooters, or, you know, somebody who really needs like a seat type of option if your country allows it. And I think it's priced exactly right. It is linked below. So if you have enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.